Hello, everybody. It is me, Joe Dubs, and we are here for some couch entertainments. So, what we're going to be doing today? And sorry if I'm like pausing at times. I'm not feeling too well. Let's just say I drank too much yesterday, and I'm still hungover, and I don't feel 100%. Sort of say. So I do apologize if I am pausing or I stutter or I need to cough or something when I pause it. But anyway, what we're going to be covering today is we have the arc, which is episode 7 in the season 1. Then Picard, we're going to be talking about season 3, episode 5. And then The Last of Us, the season finale, which is episode 9. So, what we're going to be covering before I get into those shows. There we go. There's my first cough of the night. Is structure in this channel. Now I'm gonna pull up a uh, a picture of like a diagram of how you're gonna see things on the channel and what they are. So I'm gonna bring that up right now. As you can tell, I have a yellow border, a blue border, and a red border, and those are on thumbnails. So if you haven't noticed, recently we had the yellow border, which was the live show that we're doing right now. And with the clips that came from all the episodes that I covered during the live stream will be in the yellow. I gotta hit the mute button. I do apologize. I know that could be a little bit annoying. And then in the blue, we have pre-recorded stuff, which is scripted content involving movies and TV shows. And just to reiterate on the live stream, by the way, it's going to be shows and movies that I watch that I'm going to be discussing on the live stream, which will be happening every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. I know I'm doing this at like 9 o'clock, and I changed the time so many times today. That's because life got in the way. Uh, but as far as couch entertainments live, those will be on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern time next Sunday. So we'll be covering that. There'll be channel updates that talk any news as far as what the content's going to be about, and then community talks, which will involve your comments, tweets, or whatever. And then recorded, as I said, the blue border, which will be scripted content involving movies and TV shows. And there's going to be other things that are going to be pre-recorded, which again, it's not going to be live. It's actually going to be highly edited, just like how I was doing before, but in a better way. So it's not just going to be involving me inside of a TV screen and all that stuff. There's gonna be more stuff to it, and I'm planning my goal for pre-recorded every month is 3 per month. And I messed up. See, I always mess something up. The red is not supposed to say live stream, it's supposed to say reaction and news. When something is trendy with trailers or news, I will cover that and it will have the red border. Now, I'm also looking at as far as covering like TV shows that are in the blue border or even the yellow border is I'm going to have a 3 phase kind of like review, I guess, where I'll give you my first impressions on the first episode and then we'll do a midterm report meaning midway through the season. I'll talk about how good or bad it is, and then the third final phase will be the full review. I'll give the season review. And then you'll get you'll get some what do you call it? I'm having a brain fart. See, I'm not 100% today, and I do apologize for that. But as far as the phase rule, that it could be involved whether in a live show when I'm talking about a show or a movie. And then pre-recorded could be if I'm going to do more analysis and stuff or video essays. But yeah, that's the format that I'm gonna be going with. I think this is gonna be more easier and more comfortable for me because I do have other podcasts and shows that I am doing. So I don't want to put too much on my plate. And I feel like with the live stream that I'm gonna have every Sunday is gonna cover, most of the things that I do watch on this show. All right, so let's get into some of the shows, the episodes that I watch. But before we get into that, I'm gonna give you an ad. I'll be right back.
Wrestling nerds, wrestling weebs, wrestling fans. If you're looking for a different kind of podcast, one that goes over actual big wrestling news, I mean real stories, not somebody getting divorced or baseless rumors or whatnot, and get some color, we got that. We also do reviews of wrestling from the past, but sometimes we also do wrestling from the modern day too, if it's something that interests us at the time. Other than that, I would say the main attraction is just three guys who have been lifelong wrestling fans doing what wrestling fans do. Cutting up, cracking jokes, and just enjoying the entertainment wrestling can provide. However that comes. If you want to catch Getting Some Color, you can catch it bi-weekly on Thursdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, usually.
All right, let's get into The Last of Us. I kind of want to cover that right now. Let me bring something up. And I'll move this over here. All right. So, and just to reiterate, I should have said this in the format area. How I'm going to be doing things as far as talking about stuff and rating it is going to be on like a recommendation basis. I don't want to put like a number on it because my main thing is I want to have discussions. I don't want to be too critical where I'm just like being annoying where I'm just like the shots look so amazing. Oh, the writing is so bad. I'll still say the writing is bad, but I'll look at from an entertainment point of view. So the first thing we learn in this episode, and there's not much to it. It starts off with Ellie's mom giving birth to Ellie, and Ellie's mom gets bitten while pretty much while her water breaks and stuff, and she has to pretty much give birth. And then Marlene comes with the fireflies, and they go up there. She says, you need to take care of Ellie. Marlene's like, no. And then eventually, this was a good interaction between Marlene and Ellie's mom, which, by the way, her name, the actress is Ashley Johnson. She's the voice actor for Ellie in the video game. And between her and Troy Baker, who was in the last episode, I think Ashley Johnson is a way better actor. Compare. I'm coughing way too much. God damn it! I do apologize. I apologize, and this is probably gonna be terrible to people's ears. But this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna be all weird and stuff. This is gonna be so raw and real. I'm just gonna be so much realness. It's gonna be crazy. But I do apologize for the cough. So I'll try to hit the mute button really quickly. But Ashley Johnson, amazing actress. And she pretty much says to Marlene, hey, you need to take care of her and promise that she'll be happy and stuff. And then it fast forwards to Ellie and Joel. Now, we're on episode 9 of season 1. I should be so invested into these two characters where literally at the end I'm bawling my eyes out or I'm having some type of emotion. What's funny is I have more emotion in the arc episode than this episode, and that totally should not be the case. But overall, they're having a conversation, and Joel's like trying to get her attention, but she's being all quiet. And how that's written well, in my opinion, is that Joel and Ellie, well, Ellie, because of, being almost eaten by those cannibals and then getting her second kill, like brutally killing the dude where blood is splattering in her face. She has that going on in her head. And then you also got to think about what's going on in the head about where she's going, because once she gets to the Fireflies, her mission is over. She's not going to see Joel anymore, which she thinks that's what's going to happen. Whether it be, that's the last time, you know, she gets to see him, or somehow she dies and it's a way like disconnecting. And they get to it later, where to the point where she's talking about Riley and stuff in her past. And Joel talks about pretty much Ellie bringing back hope, I guess. And trying to think of the word, but he has meaning in life again. Because before, after the being depressed about his daughter dying and stuff, he had no meaning of life. He was just living it, surviving it, and just going with the motion, hoping that he would die somehow. Because he talks about the whole, missing the shooter, that he somehow was distracted, and talks about wanting to die after Sarah's death, but something kept him moving. And then obviously when you linked up with Ellie, you know, you got to look at it from how it was shot. Like, to me and you, we see 9 episodes and we go, "That's it." Really, as a viewer, I can't see the bond that both Joe and Ellie had in this show. But if I had to like put my mind in the show itself, yeah, Joel and Ellie has been traveling for 3 plus months now. They know everything about each other, probably because they're always talking to each other, and they have a daughter father vibe together, and it's done through the dialogue. Now, what was really done well is another Marlene scene. Marlene, I think, steals the show a lot in this season. Like, if I had to choose three characters, which I am going to be doing like a tier list of, each character and what they're ranked in my mind. But like, I'll give you a spoiler: Marlene is up there. I would say Joel was Pedro, but Pascal was fine. I mean, he's Pedro Pascal in mostly everything anyway. But I think he was done well as Joel, because he's been in that other type of movie script where he's the father figure and he has a daughter figure. I forgot that one sci-fi movie that he was in. Someone in the comments probably knows. But that's why we do it live, everybody. Doing live. So we have another great scene with Marlene and Joel, and he figures out that he's not going to ever see Ellie again, because the cordyceps grows from the brain, and in order to get the vaccine, they have to open her brain, and most likely the probability of her dying is high. And this is where my main thing, as far as getting worried about the ending, because the ending is what, when I finished the game, I was like, this is where it ends. This is the cliffhanger. Like, I want to know more. And that's why I wanted the TV show to have more of an openness. Now, good news that I'm hearing is that when it gets to season 2, they want to do multiple seasons. It's not just doing the game. So I'm hoping because there's multiple seasons, we're gonna get more of a story of the Fireflies and the world that we're living in this cordyceps world. But he finds out that Ellie's gonna die, and Marlene understands how Joel feels because of the beginning of this episode when she's talking to Ellie's mom and had to pretty much make the decision of killing her and then raising Ellie and promising to keep Ellie alive and live through this world. And essentially now she's putting Ellie to death. But in her mind, she thinks it's for a good reason. But if you look at from Ellie's mom, if she was still alive, she would probably be like, "You didn't keep my promise because you're killing my daughter." So you have that going on. Now, I do have constructive criticism when it comes to Joel shooting his way to get to Ellie, because yes, it happens in the game, but there's two different feels. In the video game, you're constantly either shooting your way or stealthing your way through a lot of people. In this one, it was like a single, like a couple of hallways, but it seemed more scrunched in. And there's a part where it does look like the actual hospital in the game, but in the beginning area, like it looks like there's like five people. In the game, you're like 20 plus people because the Firefly soldiers are coming after you. Now they do write it well that most of her people died to get to this point, so you could look at it like, oh, she probably had a bigger group, and now it's like a skeleton crew. And I think that was written well in the TV show. But my main thing is the feel, because when I'm playing the game, I'm stealthing around. I still have that anxiety of being like, I need to get. I'm looking at it from Joel's point of view, that I need to get the. Oh my god, I can't breathe. Oh, we got Moogie Mane. Moogie Man finally saved enough. Oh wait, did you do something on Twitch? I'm on StreamYard. Let me bring up my thing real quick. Twitch.tv. I don't have alerts on StreamYard, so I don't know what you've done. It's loading. Loading. A walk-in minute. Oh, we're doing a walk-in minute. Okay. Hold on. It's a walk-in minute. All right. So if anybody that is watching the VOD for later on my Couch Entertainment's channel on YouTube, where we cover movies and TV shows. On my Twitch, I have a thing where if you redeem some points, I have to do a challenge. And one of the challenges, I got to talk like Mr. Walken here. And hello, welcome to Couch Entertainment's talking about The Last of Us, episode 9. And Joel going through the hospital is shooting these people, and in the game there's more soldiers and you have to stealth around the soldiers, but in the TV show, Joel goes through the hallway shooting very fast, very slow and angrily, and he looks super angry, like crazy, like more cowbell. I gotta have more cowbell. But anyway, in the movie, in the TV show, it just seems different. because I'm Christopher Walken and Joel. If I was Joel, I would not want to be all willy nilly going through the hallways and getting almost shot and killed. Because if you would have got shot and killed, you would never see Ellie anymore. And I don't think you would like that because I shoved this watch straight up my ass. All right, I gotta stop that because I'm doing a VOD. But in the scene where he's going through the hallway, it just looked weird. I didn't have the feeling like I did in the video game because I was scared shitless in the video game because I didn't want to die. And and Joel is pretty much going Doom mode. Like he's like in Doom shooting people left and right. And I don't know. It didn't feel right. But he gets to the point where he gets Ellie and it does just like the video game where Ellie wakes up, she's in the hospital gown and she's asking what happened and Joel lies to Ellie saying that they found another cure and they don't need her anymore. And while Joel was bringing Ellie out, Marlene was there with a gun and Joel shoots her. But she's not dead right away, so he puts Ellie in the car and then he goes back to her and she's all bleeding and shit. And he's like, she's like, "Don't kill me, let me go." And he's like, "No, you just follow her." And he pretty much shoots her to death. And I will give them credit. At the end of the episode, it did have the same sign off, and I'm fine on how it was shot and how it was screenplayed, pretty much how it was scripted in there. I think Bella Ramsey did a fine job here, and Pedro Pascal did a fine job as Joel because the moral thing, as far as was Joel in the right of killing everybody in the hospital and stealing Ellie because he sees Ellie as a daughter and doesn't want to have that pretty much losing another daughter. And he was selfish on his end of shooting everybody and then lying to her. And Marlene does bring up a point saying, "Hey, you know, if she had a choice in the matter, she would probably choose to kill herself so that she could save more people." But then you got to look at it at other angles too. Like, would the vaccine even work? Would the vaccine somehow fail and then she dies for nothing? I mean, if you look at it from a science point of view, I guess you could be like, you tried and, trial and error. And that's how science is until they get it right. So, this new data that happens from Ellie's death could come up with the next vaccine to save humankind. But you also got to look at from Joel's point of view that where can you watch this at? Let me just put your message on the screen so that people in the VOD are not know I'm talking to myself. But Moogie Main from Twitch says, "Where can I watch this at?" HBO Max. It is it's on the HBO Max subscription, but obviously if you know any pirated streaming sites, which I'm not recommending, I'm just saying it's out there and you could watch it, but it's mainly from HBO Max. But from Joel's point of view, he's like, I if she dies, you don't know for a matter of fact if that vaccine's gonna work. So he's in a sense he's being selfish. Now you could question whether Joel should have lied or not lied to Ellie, and that I think is more of a moral question. So with the moral question of him lying to her, because what else could he lie about, right? And I feel with the possibility of him lying because of the surgery, I think is one lie that she could possibly see from his point of view. But the whole lying about everything, see, it's. I just put myself in contradiction there because I'm like, the whole lying to her was bad, but he also had to lie because he was selfish because he had to kill everybody in the hospital. Like, that's the only thing I could think of that he could lie about, like, "Hey, I decided to take you out of there," but I would probably lie and say, "Yeah, I didn't shoot all these people." But I'm gonna be doing a full season review because I'm gonna probably go through some of the episodes just so that I could give you my final thoughts on season 1, because for me, I don't think 9 episodes you can give this any justice. I think if you compacted this into a movie and written it well, where I'm following Joel and Ellie through a journey, then I would say yes. You know, I felt everything about these characters, but I just have no feeling, no attachments, even though I played the video game. And I think that is a main problem for me, is that I played the video game and I know what's going to happen next since they're sticking so close to the source material. But I will give people on the YouTubes in the comments section, because I know you guys watch or at least watch my videos and then give me your point of view. So let me give you some questions as far as, did you think this season was great? That would be my first question to you guys. Another question is, would you write it if you had to choose one episode and just take it out of the season directly so that we're getting that Joel and Ellie experience more? I guess, what episode would you take out? And I'll put another sub question to that if you don't want to take anything out. What would you do different in those episodes to include Joel and Ellie more so that we get more of that connection? And I think another final question is, what did you think about Pedro Pascal, who played Joel, and Bella Ramsey, who played Ellie? Do you think that they were perfect for this role, to play Joel and Ellie? And I want to know your guys' comments on that in the comments section. All right, before we move on to the next show, we're gonna do Arc, season 1, episode 7. But I will give you guys an ad, so I will be right back.
What's the best Indiana Jones movie? Which Dracula movie was the worst? Who even is Andrei Tarkovsky? 4 hosts, somehow 5 or more opinions. The Ranking Movie Podcast you'll put at the top of your list. Check out Big Trouble in Little Podcast live every week at 10 p.m. Eastern, or anytime on YouTube and anywhere you get your favorite podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Stitcher.
All right. So we have season 1, episode 7 of the Arc. I don't know, man. So what really gets me now, keep in mind, I know that this is on sci-fi, so I understand the writing is not the greatest, and judging off of the comment section, which is kind of starting to become 50-50 as far as the science. Sometimes the science is crazy, sometimes the science is not crazy, but I know they're wanting more of a drama than a, full-fledged science fiction show. But anyway, I was telling you guys that I was starting getting annoyed as with the characters because there were certain situations where I'm like, this would never happen in a chain of command situation. And some of the situations where the doctor was telling Bryce, you need to, be checked out while there's a freaking asteroid coming straight at them. I think there were certain situations like we could do this later. Why are we doing this now? Everybody's gonna die on this ship, so maybe we should stop doing that. But anyway, we have episode 7 where it starts opening up. Last episode, I said they're finally doing character development, and it was very mid. Like it was starting to get better because of the William Trust, the owner. You're just like, what's going on with the owner here? Why is he on the ship? So at the end of last episode, they were going to a planet to get gas or oil or whatever, but then they were just like, oh, the element is not coming from the planet. It's behind the planet. And there was another arc that was there. So it opens up this episode with, talking about getting people over there. And obviously, Bryce, who is, we found out last episode that he had some type of disease that the government was using to fight climate change. and and he pretty much said he doesn't care, about doing YOLO stuff, meaning you only live once. He was just being like, hey, I'm gonna die, so I might as well do these heroic, stuff, and it's suicide missions and all that stuff. Which again, if you were trying to be all about the military and stuff, you could probably say, hey, you're endangering everybody on the ship. You're kind of a bad officer because you're being selfish that you have this disease and you're going to die sooner than others. That I'm just going to be all willy nilly and hazardous and unsafe to a larger, pretty much humankind. Like these people on the ark are going to a different planet to populate and live. And this is the human race apparently because the whole planet's like going on fire because of climate change. So it's kind of stupid on his thinking saying I'm going to do all this extreme stuff because I'm going to die. So, but I guess you can see it from this point because not everybody's perfect and not everybody's going to be thinking on the same wavelength that that he doesn't care. He's being selfish and that's what he is. But they go search the ship, and this doesn't have a lot of stuff going on because they're searching through the ship and they find everybody dead. They find someone with a stab mark from a knife, so they know it. Like most of these people didn't suffocate to death. Somebody died, and then they meet up with this chick. Now I forgot her name, and I'm pretty sure I will remember it next episode. But they run into her, and Lane chases after her, and it's funny because he's just like screaming at her, and this is like where the bad acting comes in the B-rated like TV shows. So I'm just like, that's funny, but automatically. Now I watch a lot of sci-fi shows, or I watch a lot of other shows where if everybody's dead and there's always that one person there still alive, either A, something traumatic happened and she was the survivor, or B, she caused all those people to die somehow. And I automatically knew right away that she was option number B. She is killing all these people because, again, they kind of telegraph that she's suspicious. But I will say the writing made me second guess my thought. But overall, I knew my gut reaction is like she's bad. But they do at certain times because Strickland, who is a security guard, I think that's his name, Strickland. Yeah, Strickland. That's his name on his. He finds his husband on board, and it's weird because in the other episode when they were hallucinating because of the water, because of the comet that they took the water from, he started seeing his husband with his daughter crying throughout the ship. And then we have this episode where they go on, I believe it was like Arc 1. No, this was Arc 3. And they were just wondering why Arc 3 is ahead of them since Arc 1 is like the first ship that's supposed to go out compared to others. But Arc 3, they go on the ship, he finds his husband, and automatically he's like, "Where's my daughter?" And he also finds his samurai, his katana sword, and I hope that's a thing throughout the season because I'm like, why? Okay, so he has a sword, kind of cool, I guess. But overall, I dig it. I was like, this is awesome. I No, I don't want to put it that way. I just think it's awesome that has a sword, and I hope we see more of that because they kind of do a political move here, where she finally opens up and says, "Now I don't know if it's true because she's a bad person on the show so far, so she could be lying somehow." But she admits to Strickland that his daughter got killed by a stray bullet when there was chaos happening from whatever stuff was happening on Earth when everything was going to chaos. But she brings that up, and then I'm like, wait a second, is she telling the truth? But then they do this political move. Oh wait, maybe I didn't think about that. Maybe she brought up and somehow knew that he would react that way. That when she found the armory and knew that he had access to the armory, he brought up about the guns. And this is where the political movement comes, where like no one should have guns ever. Kind of making it that the guns are somehow the problem compared to the people that are handling the guns, but I digress on that. But they do this political move. He puts the guns in an airlock and shoots out all the guns. And as he's walking away, this is where we get the moment where she puts a gun in the back of her pants. So not all the guns are gone because she has it. So automatically she's a bad person. I'm trying to bring up other things. I thought this was pretty funny where they're like yelling at her and like trying to find out information of what happened. And they do that for a while. I don't know if they're like telling they're trying to pound it into the viewer's head like, "Hey, we need to show you that there's something happening on Earth and we need to talk about it." And she finally does because everybody on the ship is like yelling at her and she's like, "I'll tell you what happened." And then she goes into like a long sob story about how climate change is putting you know, flames to the earth and everything is different now on Earth. And I don't know what's happening right now, but I know when I was leaving, pretty much shit was hitting the fan. So you get that build up and then you get that payoff. Uh, and let's see here. Yeah, this is where they gather all the information, and there's that sword. And I thought this interaction was funny too because she finds the sword, and then they do this moment where she's all acting serious, and she's like, "I found something of yours." He's like, "Oh, the sword is mine. I have been training with this sword forever." And he puts the sword in the bag, and then she just exit. And I'm like you could have been like, "Hey, I found something for you," and then like pass it off to him, and then have him say something. It just felt awkward. And oh yeah, I remember she was going through withdrawals because Strickland found out about her drug usage, and because they, scavenged the ship. Because once they accounted all the dead and stuff, and then obviously the person from Arc 3, the bad chick, she's like, I want to go back over there. But anyway, they find pills, and like the druggie in her is like, oh my god, I'm gonna get high again. And then there's the guns. Oh, they're also doing a thing because Dr. Brand, the therapist, I think that's her name, Brand. She uh, dollar store Toby Maguire is like outside of the bridge because she was trying to enter look at the bridge because her friend, she thinks her friend's on Arc 3, which nothing pays off on that because she wasn't on the ship, and she's like, thank God. But she sensed that Angus, who's dollar store Toby Maguire, that he has a thing for Sharon, and she's like, hey, you need to find somebody with your speed. And now they're doing a thing with Alicia and Angus, which I guess eventually they're going to become a item. So you have that going on. Oh, and this is where they have another like reactor thing where they're about to be radiated to death, and they're like, we need a code, and they're all scrambling and stuff. And remember when I said they were acting in the early episodes that they're probably gonna have a thing? They were about to kiss because he found meaning for life. And it's funny because as he was thinking about he's gonna die, he's actually like, I don't want to die anymore. I was like, all right, that's cool. And out of nowhere, Lane gets the shutdown code. And the reason why Lane got the shutdown code is because he woke up William Truss, and he has the backup, the backdoor code, as they say, because he is the creator of the ARC program. And it's funny because I thought William Truss would be like a bad guy, and he's kind of waking up not knowing what the hell is going on. Because when he wakes up, he's like, what is happening? And before ARC 15 showed up, and you're just like, wait a second, I'm ARC 1. Why am I seeing ARC 15? So there's like things happening in this ARC program where there's, I guess, insurrection stuff happening with the governments or whatever, or people. There might be a terrorist group that are sabotaging this ARC program. And again, I'm interested in that storyline. And I thought this episode was written pretty well. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to docker them for being a B-rated show on a B-rated network because you're going to get that. But structurally, for me to be entertained and wondering what's going to happen next, I'm interested. Who's the chick? Why does she have kept the gun from Strickland? Why is William Truss seem out of the loop? Did Trent say that these people were important? Is there a bigger thing going on? Is he a bad guy or is he a good guy? We don't know. And that has me interested because maybe he's playing stupid right now so that he knows what's going on before he goes, ha ha ha, I'm the bad guy. And now we're going to start to choose who lives and dies and stuff. And that could happen. But there also could be another conspiracy going on where there's a terrorist leader in one of those arcs, and maybe we're gonna get that antagonist, that bad person, that villain character. So I'm hoping that's what it's leading to, at least a structure of what that is leading to. I still think some characters are kind of cringe, but I do like Lane. I do like Strickland. I do like Bryce, and Ava's starting to grow on me a little bit. Alicia and Angus are kind of annoying, but they're scripted to be that way. and I thought she was fine too. I thought she was okay in this as well. The crew, they were annoying. But I guess to pose a question to you guys, because I do recommend this episode and it's still having my interest on things. But I guess some questions I want to pose to you guys is, do you think William Trust is going to be a bad guy or a good guy? Give me your theories on that. Do you think this redheaded chick who kept the gun from Strickland, do you think she's a good person or a bad person? Or is she just doing this to survive? So maybe she's not a bad person, but she has to do bad things in order to survive. That's also a possibility as well. Um, I guess the doctor. Do you think she's going to take the pills? Because there was not much science to this episode. I mean, they Alicia was talking about stuff, and I don't know if they're now. I know this is filmed in advance, but I kind of wonder because remember when I was saying, they kind of just spew a lot too much science, but not give us like the easy version of what the science is actually about. And Alicia kind of does that, and I'm like, okay, that is fine. And I guess my biggest question to you guys for the arc is, who do you think is on these other arc um, vessels? Do you think it's a terrorist group? Do you think William Truss is part of the leader of what's happening, or do you think it's someone different? I want your guys' opinion on that. All right, before we get into Picard, I usually have a ad, and I'm gonna give you another getting some color ad. So we'll be right back, and we'll do some Picard.
Wrestling nerds, wrestling weebs, wrestling fans. If you're looking for a different kind of podcast, one that goes over actual big wrestling news, I mean real stories, not somebody getting divorced or baseless rumors or whatnot, and get some color, we got that. We also do reviews of wrestling from the past, but sometimes we also do wrestling from the modern day too, if it's something that interests us at the time. Other than that, I would say the main attraction is just three guys who have been lifelong wrestling fans doing what wrestling fans do. Cutting up, cracking jokes, and just enjoying the entertainment wrestling can provide, however that comes. If you want to catch Getting Some Color, you can catch it bi-weekly on Thursdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, usually.
All right. Season 3, Episode 5 of Star Trek Picard. So last episode, and just to reiterate, if you haven't watched any of the other videos, how I'm going to be doing reviews on like an episode basis, but especially when I'm doing these live shows, is I'm going to give you a recommend or not recommend. And again, I want to make more of this of a discussion, like me and you in the comments talking about the show itself and not being of a critic, because again, I think it's boring of me going like, that was a great shot, that was great writing. And keep in mind, I'm still going to say those things, but that's not going to be my focus of, man, I got to put a rating or a score on it. I just want to talk about it because I love talking about TV shows, especially theories when we get into theories, because I like doing those things. I like, talking about what could happen next or what could we get in the show. But last episode, we had a moment with John Riker, William Riker and Picard, because the other episode, the Shrike, or the Shrike, I think is called, with Vatic. They were battling with her, and Picard was like, "We need to eliminate the enemy because it's the big threat, and we need to do it now." And Riker was more of the passive person, and essentially at the end of that episode, they were falling in the gravity well, and they couldn't move. And Riker got mad and told Picard to get off the ship because you just killed everyone on the ship. So last episode, they're having a moment where Riker's like, "Hey, sorry, I talked to you like that, and we need to come up with a strategy we only have 4 hours left because once the 4 hours of power and life support are gone, they're just going to suffocate. So throughout that episode, they had to come up with a plan, which the nebula had these wave of energy, like contractions in like pregnancy, and they would be timed because Dr. Crusher was doing that. And, eventually they got out of it. They threw an asteroid at Vadak, and it ended the episode there. And it pretty much opens up where Jack Crusher is like this Manchurian candidate killing everybody on the ship. And it shows like the redness in his eyes, and that's the red door thing. But it opens pretty much that they got out of the situation from last episode, and Shaw, still being the asshole that he is, he already contacted Starfleet, and they're coming here to pretty much talk to Riker and Picard because essentially they commandeered his ship and his shuttle and got him in this situation. And obviously, in a military or an organization itself, you have to answer to your actions. Trying to think other things. Oh, we got more Raffi and Worf. I gotta say, like, I was not a big fan of Raffi, but I think Raffi and Worf doing this secret agent, like noir crime stuff is pretty freaking cool. And the training stuff is funny because Worf is now like a pacifist, or he still attacks people and kills people, but he does it in a non-angerous way. He's not all about like this warrior mentality of I have anger and I must kill you and I'm a warrior and all that stuff. He thinks before he acts, and he meditates and stuff. So I am digging the whole like noir stuff. But the big thing that's going on in this episode is that a ship came out of nowhere, and it's written so well that something is up. Because keep in mind, Dr. Crusher and Jack Crusher, when Dr. Crusher in first episode gave the message to Picard to not trust anybody in Starfleet, that somehow Starfleet was compromised. And I did like the line where Shaw's like, "Hey, they're not using teleportation; they're using shuttles to come to the ship." And I do like that you get an answer later on why they're not doing that, because the person that comes on the ship is a person that we haven't seen in a really, really long time, Ro Laren or Lauren. And again, I don't know every detail. I just remember that she backstabbed Picard in some manner, and she opens up on why she did it. But it's weird because she backstabbed Starfleet in the Next Generation. I believe it was like either season 4 or season 5. But she's a commander, and she's coming on the ship to debrief or investigate Picard because she's trying to find out about Jack Crusher. Now, I'm still clueless as far as why Jack Crusher is needed. Now, we do get those, that red door and the red vines, and now his nightmare of becoming this Manchurian candidate where he gets activated like MK Ultra and like shoots people. So like you get an idea that he is, I guess, dangerous. So maybe that's why Starfleet wants him, because he could potentially be a weapon, and maybe because the changelings want him because he could be used as a weapon to kill Starfleet, higher up in Starfleet. So I don't know the exact thing on Jack Crusher, but again, another red flag, because you would think that Ro Laren or Commander Ro is trying to find out why or how they stole the shuttle and why they commandeered the ship and got him in this trouble. She's very focused on Jack Crusher. And you're just like, well, something's going on. Is she compromised? Because throughout the episode, you're learning about a new species changeling because usually when they die, they turn into goo, but somehow they found a way to die and still be in form of the person that they were. Because um, Ensign LaForge was a changeling last episode, and she's still LaForge. Because it's funny because she comes up to her changeling body and she pukes, and that's a funny scene. So, you Commander Rose on there, you don't know what's going on. And again, we're getting more Jack Crusher stuff where he's having like these weird visions and hearing this woman say something to him, like "come on" or something like that. I totally forgot the wording that was used, but she's like trying to call to him and activate him, I guess. But what was written really well in this episode is Picard and Ro, because yeah, they're having this conversation where she's trying to find out if Picard is Picard, and Picard is trying to figure out if Commander Ro is the actual Ro that he met back in season 4 of the Next Generation. So it was written really well. Where I was like, oh man, I don't know if she's a changeling or not. And then obviously they go into the holodeck and they're arguing with each other and they're spilling their emotions to each other, and they find out that they're, the real deal. That she's actually Commander Ro, and I was like, oh shit, it's her, she's the real person. And yeah, here's the part, because he got a message from Dr. Crusher saying don't trust anybody, and he thinks that she's a changeling, and she finds out that he's they're both not changelings. And she's like, hey, we have, an insurrection. There's people that took over Starfleet. She don't knows who's a changeling and who is not. And she was afraid of using the transporter because they were killing people as they were getting beamed somewhere. So that was written really well, where she was traveling in shuttle, and that's the reason why she was traveling in shuttle. And back to Raffi and Worf, and because Worf killed Sneed to save Raffi, they had to go find this gangster Vulcan guy, and I'm trying to see if I could find out his name here. Kryn. he like they go into the city and his Vulcan gangster people surround them, and just like how Sneed was and how every Ferengi is, they're greedy, and somehow a Vulcan got greedy with wealth and stuff, and I guess finds it logical in a sense to wager some deals, and they had to have a fight, Raffi and Worf, and whoever wins gets information. So I liked it because she she stabs him, and I was like, "Oh man, is Worf dead already?" Because what a way to go out. Like you never get that moment that Worf and Picard ever seeing each other again. I was like, this is kind of a stupid way to sign off Worf. So I was kind of down on that. But then you find out that he was doing a like Klingon thing where he lowered his heartbeat and pretty much faked his death just so that he could arrest Kryn and question him. And obviously, we got more of the talking, and then she has an emotional moment with Picard because she kind of says, you know, I felt terrible doing that, but you have to be in my shoes. It was right at the moment, and you know, he would probably make some similar thing if it had if he was part of an another organization, and Starfleet has always been his home. He would probably make the same decision. So Ro gives Picard her earring because that was another thing that was written well, because Picard is like, I know she's a changeling because you're not wearing any, or she like he questions her about Bajorans, and their earrings and stuff. Why you not wearing it if you like them so much? And she hands him the earring, and it was a nice moment. But I also liked the real reason why she gave the earring to him. But then we get another thing with Shaw. He's like, "Wait a second, you're off that easy?" And Picard's like, "We need to run." That's when because Ro is like, "We need to go back to the ship," and these people are like, "Hey, we need to get Jack Crusher," and he's like, "That's an order. We need to go." And they're like, "Screw this." And while they're on the shuttle, they plant a bomb and they transport back to the Enterprise, or I'm sorry, the Titan. And Picard is like, "Hey, we need to go." And Shaw's like, "No, wait a second. You're supposed to like be with them. I don't understand this." So because she has the the bomb and stuff, and she can't go back or anything because of the timer, she messages the bridge, and obviously Shaw hears everything. And then also she launches herself into one of the warp coil things. I don't know the exact thing, but this energizes the warp. It's some type of energy tube. She launches her shuttle, and then it blows up, and Shaw's like, "What the hell is going on?" And obviously that gets the idea like, hey, we need to move and get the hell out of here. This is where this is not a dream anymore. This is not a nightmare. He's activated. He had like some MK Ultra with that red door, and he kills four of those changelings. And they warp out of here. And Picard was talking to Riker, and he's like, she gave me this earring, and Riker does his Riker smile, and finds out that she was investigating this changeling situation. And then this is when we find out that Ro was the handler for Worf, and obviously Worf was the handler for, you know, Raffi. So we get our moment of Worf and Picard, which hopefully we get in person soon, because I would love to see the group all together. Then we get the part where his mother says, "Hey, something's wrong." And how did you know these were all changelings? And he said he didn't. And he admits, something's off with him. Something is kind of controlling him. And that's where the episode ends. So again, I recommend it because we had another great moment. We had the Riker and Picard moment last episode where Jonathan Frakes is having the time of his life directing, and I believe you're written it too, but also starring in it and acting his ass off. And now we have a Picard moment with Commander Rowe, and that scene was powerful. There's so many powerful scenes between like the Picard and Crusher moment. The first moment where he's just staring at her, and he gets the confirmation that that's his son, Jack Crusher. And then you had the moment where Picard was talking to Crusher about like, I should have been there for him, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you had never been there. You care about your Starfleet more than anything." And you get that moment, then you get the Picard and Riker moment, and then you get the Picard and Jack Crusher and Picard and Shaw moment. Like, there's so many of those moments where it's one-on-one conversation where it's just so written well, where you're just like on the edge of your seat, like having so much emotions and stuff. And it's great. I I don't like I understand people are pissed off because of Star Trek Discovery and the first two seasons Picard. They don't like woke Star Trek, and I get that. But Terry Matalas, who is the writer for season 3, because Alex Kirkman, I think his name is not handling season 3 at all, who was handling season 1 and 2, and that's why it was terrible. Terry Matalas actually talked to Star Trek fans to be like, "Hey, what was bad about season 1 and season 2?" He got feedback and then made season 3, which so far it's been either perfect or near perfect almost every episode. So, if you could cancel out Discovery and cancel out Picard season 1 and 2, I think you could look at this at face value and be like, yes, this is a Star Trek show. The only thing that I'm kind of down on is like every season, it always seems like there's a imposter in Starfleet. And I kind of wish season 3 involved another world and another government structure on that world that become villains for season 3. I would have liked something like that in season 3 instead of being like, there's imposters in Starfleet. We need to find out who's the imposter and how did it happen. I'm kind of getting bored of that. But obviously this is the last season, so but yeah, I recommend that. I guess questions for you that you could answer in the comments section. What do you guys think about Raffi and Worf? Do you think that chemistry is doing well? I kind of like the whole buddy cop noir thing that's happening, and that Vulcan Kryn is kind of awesome. What do you think, Jack Crusher? That's another question with the whole red door. Do you think he's a changeling? Do you think Starfleet is controlling, like whoever is the bad Starfleet is controlling him in some way, where he's this weapon that he can be activated and kill anybody who the person behind the red door wants? Well, who do you think that is? And do you think it's one of the old Star Trek Next Generation characters that are controlling him? I kind of want your guys' opinion on that. What did you guys think about Commander Rowe and Picard? Do you think those scenes with them and how like you didn't know if she was a changeling or not? Do you think that was written well, where you're just like, holy crap, it actually is Rolaren? What do you think about that? And what do you think about her being the main investigator, the handler for Worf as well? I absolutely love that. And I guess that's all the questions I have, because this was a very straightforward episode and I liked it a lot. And I like that we get that Commander Rowe situation. She died a hero pretty much by damaging the other Starfleet ship, because apparently that is compromised and probably most of them are changelings. But give me you guys' opinions on the questions that I put out for you in the comments below. But yeah, that is season 3, episode 5 of Picard. So to sign off here, and I do apologize because I had to do the walking minute on one thing. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm gonna leave that in there, and hopefully you guys have a sense of humor and don't think it's annoying. If somehow you think I did a bad walking impression, please tell me. I want to know so I'm not thinking I'm doing awesome in that. I know I went in and out of it anyway, but just for the format again, just so that I can reiterate, live and the clips from the live stream will be bordered yellow, meaning in the thumbnail there will be a yellow border. The pre-recorded scripted content involving movies and TV shows will be bordered by the blue border. And even though I written live stream here, it's supposed to say reactions and news. So yeah, I always screw up on the graphics, and I need to stop doing that. But when something is trendy, like if there's a new trailer that I want to kind of react to or give you my opinion on, or if there's any news that I want to rant about, it will be bordered on the red border in the thumbnail. And just so that you know, um, next Sunday we'll be doing Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Every Sunday we're gonna have a show, and it's gonna be structured in a way not like how I've been doing it now, but it's going to be a certain structure that you'll know about next week, Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. The pre-recorded scripted information, I'm going to aim for 3 per month. That's my goal. Now, it could be anything as far as scripted. That's why I kept it vague. But just for formatting, when I do like a deep analysis or how I started this channel, where every episode I was doing video, and I kind of want to change that. I want to do like a three phase program when it comes to covering a series, especially if it's new. Is I want to do a first impression. And that will be like the first episode or the pilot episode of every show. I give my first impression on that. The second phase will be a midterm. So in the middle of the season, I'll give my opinions on how the season's going. And on the third phase, final phase will be the full season review. And I will give you my analysis on the season on what I thought. And I think that would be an easier way instead of me trying to hit like a weekly goal, because the live stream is going to be the brunt of it as far as when I'm clipping if you don't want to watch a full stream. And my goal for a stream, even though I hit the hour mark right now, an hour and 12 minutes, is I want to. I had it in my head, but the uh, the live stream, I want to aim for 30 minutes. But if I have to go over 30 minutes, the most I want to do is 45 minutes, because I don't want to do an hour, because usually people, leave at a certain point because they don't want to stick around. That's what the clips are going to be for, when they're going to be in the yellow border as far as the live show with clips. So anything that happens, if anything I cover on the show, will be clipped out so that you can see it individually. But every week, that's what's going to be consistent as far as what I'm watching and what I'm talking about. Now the pre-recorded stuff, that's going to be more time, and that's why I did like 3 per month. And obviously when something new and trendy comes out, whether it be news or whether it be a trailer, I want to be attack it from there, because again, as you could tell, the two ads that I played today, the Big Trouble Little Podcast and Getting Some Color, I produce those podcasts as well. So I don't want to get too much on my plate. And that's why I chose this format. Obviously, if you do not like this format, please tell me in the comment section and what you would rather see. But if you think this is going to be sufficient for you guys to consume, then I'll do it this way as well. I do appreciate you guys' patience. And I do like when you guys comment, because that's what's going to be part of the live show. There's going to be a lot of interaction, and I hope to get your interaction when if you join us every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And you don't need to, be on the show. I'm talking about like comments or live in the chat and stuff. Because just like how I was doing Moogie Main in the Last of Us section, I could put your comment on the screen, and then when I actually pick some comments in some of the videos that I do, I will also be saying that on the live show. But I think we'll end it here. I don't want to ramble too much. I will see you guys next Sunday for the first edition, because this is going to be these two live streams I was trying and beta testing. I think this will be sufficient for me to do. So next Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern time, come for Couch Entertainment's live. And I will see you guys next week. Peace.